covered question number 1 of who am I last time.
In the first question, which Sri Prakashan Pillai had asked Ramana Maharshi in 1902 on the hill in front of Virupaksha cave, was who am I? Because he was a student of philosophy, he knew how to paraphrase the question, and he'd asked this most pertinent question that the Upanishads have talked about, and every other religious book has addressed this for times immemorial. And Bhagavan had given him an answer which he elaborated a little bit himself before he published the book almost 20 years hence, in which he deciphered and described and gave in detail all the humors and dhatus and all that. I'm not the body, I'm not the prana, etc. And Bhagavan definitely had just told him that we are not what we think this body is. And the body with all its elements, with all its gizmos, is not you. Having said that, then Sri Prakashan Pillai's next question was, if I'm none of these, then who am I? And Bhagavan says, and I'm reading Bhagavan's response here, after negating all of the above mentioned as not this, that awareness which alone remains is I am. So having eliminated, negation doesn't mean just denial, but negating it means in this sense to have crossed that threshold of misunderstanding, of the camouflaged, limited understanding of me with all my elements. Having gone beyond that, what remains? That alone I am. What is that alone? That alone that exists, that I cannot see because I cannot perceive it. I cannot define it. I cannot touch it. I cannot put a dimension on it. What is that I am? And therefore, the next question he asks is, what is the nature of this I am? Or in other words, awareness. He used the word, the word awareness, because that's what I am that I am is. So he says, what is the nature of this awareness? And the answer given is the nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss. Now, I bet all of us have really not pondered over this axiom, consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss. We all have read it and have gone beyond it, thinking we have absorbed it. And we haven't absorbed it until we absorb it. And if you just look at these 3 words, existence, consciousness, bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda, and ponder over it as to what these 3 words mean, then we can get to that beginning of that awareness, in the limited sense awareness. I'm not talking the ultimate awareness, at least the beginning of that clarity that what is awareness? What is this consciousness? So if we look at these 3 words, and let's repose on these 3 words, absorb them before we move on to thinking that we have got it. So if you take existence, which is Sat, Sat meaning also means truth. Existence is that which alone is. That alone which exists is existence. Not existence in the cosmic form of its Maya, with the tree and the mountains and the rivers and the bodies of human beings and the bodies of other creatures. Consciousness is that existence that pervades all this that exists. All that which I see, all that which I cognize, all that with which I always relate myself to or relate myself with. I am an entity in relationship to something. is my limited understanding. The one that transcends that understanding of that limited existence is consciousness, is existence, is Sat. The existence that has created all the entities around me without my being aware of it, without my being cognizant of it, without my being aware in the sense of giving credit to it as to how has this existence come about? What is that energy? What is that power that extends right around me and I yet ignore it because I'm so self-centered that I am the body, I exist. I forget the pervading Sat, the pervading existence. That which has come about without my knowledge, that which has come about beyond my perception, beyond my comprehension. So colossal, and yet I think I don't have to pay attention to it. And that's my folly. I'm not aware, even in the limited sense, to be cognizant of everything that I come in contact with throughout the day. I don't pay attention to it. Similarly, God is looking at us saying, you are not recognizing the existence that pervades around you, the existence that has created you also. We didn't drop out of the skies. We got created from some energy, same energy that creates the plant and the tree, the moon, sky and the stars, the animals, all living creatures, and even the rocks and things that we don't think have any life in it. Things that we consider insentient also have a cosmic energy in it. It didn't come out of nowhere. It came out and it's there because of its existence given into it by some power that we call existence or consciousness or bliss. And these three words, when put together, Sat, Chit, Anand, existence, consciousness, bliss, basically are the same. The ultimate reality, the self, the I, the ultimate. It's not separate and apart from that, it is that. But this axiom, this Mahavakya, Sat, Chit, Ananda, consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss, is again a manifestation of the mind of defining it in three different ways. It's an amalgamation of those three is the self, is that which exists. So existence, he says, what is the nature of awareness? He says the nature of awareness is existence, consciousness, bliss. What is consciousness? The same consciousness that pervades within me. We have talked about it many times. Where does the breath in our body come from? Because of the existence that I think is me. And I forget that I'm not this limited identity that has been given unto me because of the nature of the mind of human beings for millennia. I was born, when I was growing up, my parents started calling me and made me identify myself with my name, and then I lived with it. And the first thought was the I thought. As we talked about in Upadesh Saram, the first primordial thought is the I thought. That I thought became the limited, that small limited ego kept on growing and keeps growing till I die. Because my first I creates the second person and the third person. So this existence, consciousness, and bliss is all-pervading entity around me. That is the ultimate reality. It's not only human beings who walk this cosmic phenomenon. We pervade it, we live in it, but we are not a product of it, just as everything else is a product of it. And yet when we merge go beyond it and merge with that existence, that reality, that consciousness, that bliss, then I am the self. So what is the nature of awareness? Existence, consciousness, bliss. And these three words should be thought about, contemplated upon, reposed on again and again, and become cognizant of the things around us. And then we begin to respect every other existence around me, whether it be a tree, whether it be an insect, whether it be an animal, or whether it be another human being. It's the same energy that pervades in all of us. That's why the Vedantic texts and all the other religious books talk about everybody's I am that I am. I'm not none other than you. We are, whatever activity I do is a part of the cosmic cycle of activities that have been done before and are being done now and shall be done again. Unless I transcend, unless I go beyond it, not to be reborn into a limited entity as an animal or a human being or a tree or a plant or whatever, that I can transcend this and go beyond it and merge with the cosmic reality, the existence, the bliss, the consciousness, and I need not come back into this limited living, the cycle of life and death. And I keep doing the same kinds of things, similar habits, and I keep rotating, cycling around. Prachodayada. So consciousness, existence, consciousness, bliss are words that we should really absorb as the all-pervading thing and should not ignore it. Once I become cognizant of things around me, I begin the diminution of my egotistical largeness. Then I begin to say, hey, I am also just a pebble in this entire structure of things. I'm no more than a pebble. I'm no more than the wave of the ocean or the droplet of the rain. I'm no different from the cosmic energy which has created all these creation. And I am nothing. I can be trampled in a moment, just as my whole planet is a small dot in this cosmic equation. I begin to see myself as that small dot in this ocean of humanity, which I think is vast. Is this making any sense, folks?
Yes, it is, Bandhuji. The question that comes to mind,
please.
May I?
Please.
Yeah. The question that comes to mind is that I recognize that I was the ego, and I am the ego, rather, that led me to question the various things about the ego, that I'm not happy here. So I go on to ask the question, who am I? And then when I ask that question and I encounter various teachings on that subject, the pool of Sat Chit Anand comes around and I'm even more confused. So, yes, it's something that one is learning to adapt to and learning to accept and deal with, but from one to another, the one confusion to the second, I wouldn't call it confusion, but the second nebulous place. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering whether, the second thing that you said was that expanse of the creation around me makes me feel like such a small person or a small entity. That one, a small entity that it becomes kind of non-existent in some sense, that whole confusion this way or that way. So it's just, I don't know if there's a question at this, but this is just this is just my observation or my feeling at the present moment. So
very well said, Mona. And that's the confusion. This is a presentation of an expression because of our collective confusion. And I use the word collective because I don't want to say that I'm confused or you're confused or someone else is confused. We all are confused. That's why we are not realized. And the only example of saying that I understand the limitation of my entity when I begin to recognize and respect and cognize the consciousness around me, the existence around me, is only to dwarf that ego that, because of its egotistical nature, has always learned to avoid the existence of the consciousness of the existence of the cosmic force around me. And if I cognize it, if I become aware of it, then I begin to respect every other creation around me. And therefore, then my egotistical existence gets kind of dwarfed in a nice, positive way. But then I understand I'm just a small figurine in this whole collage of so many other impressions. Thank you, Mona, for your sharing your thoughts. And any other comments on this existence, consciousness, bliss? We must absorb it as just one word which describes the consciousness, the cosmic energy around us. That alone I am. Because behind the focal point, the fulcrum, the pivotal point, the boiler point, the existence behind all that is one. That is the I, that Ramana Maharshi used to call self or the heart. That is the only existence. There is no other existence. Everything else is perishable. Everything else is time-bound. Everything else can be defined in relationship to something else or alone. Like my lifetime. 70 years or 80 years or 100 years or 120 years or 30 years, I was limited. I'll be gone. But unless I begin to embrace the consciousness, the existence, the bliss, and let's just call it the self, until I do that, I don't merge with it. And I can merge with it because I am realized. That's the other way of looking at it. I'm already realized. As Bhagavan would say, as we'll come to those questions, you are that. Why am I not self-realized? Because you don't need to be self-realized. It's not a point you have to reach somewhere. You're already that. You just have to remove the camouflage. You have to remove the obfuscation from your perception of things. And before, I know Shweta is ready to say something, it seems she has turned her. Let me grab my bottle of water, which I forgot. And I feel, so I'll grab my bottle in 1 second. I'll be right back. Thank you, guys. Sorry, Shweta, you were about to say something?
Hey, namaste, everyone.
Namaskar.
Yeah, I think that I feel like intellectually, right, again, it becomes this thing for me of like, yes, how do we keep embodying it? Like when you say absorb, like how do we embody this state, like in the moment to moment? And practically, it always becomes a question, how can I practically make this happen? Because intellectually, I can, when I'm sitting in silence and things, I can quote unquote connect with it. But when I'm going through my motions of my gross life, the question becomes, what are those intermediary steps? Things like, for example, what little lies or white lies do I tell myself, right? That keeps me in the camouflage and in that state from really embodying and absorbing the stillness or the consciousness, right? Or that I am already. And so I'm wondering, I would love to hear from people, like, what are your experiences, or what are things you consciously kind of do, not in a crazy effortless way, to absorb and to embody this state all the time? Because we are that already. We kind
Okay.
of intellectually know that.
So,
What are some practical?
got it. So Shweta is saying that how to really practice this, how to practice being conscious of the intermediaries or things that kind of wrap around me all the time, even my small lies every now and then and my exaggerations, etc. How do I step beyond that and embrace the consciousness, embrace the
I feel
reality
like a
of things?
practical step for me is being more and more aware of the ways I can lie to myself, right? Or whatever.
Are you asking people to share their opinion as to
like for
how do they do
me,
it?
at least that helps me
Okay,
to
sure. Let's
embody
open
or
it up then.
absorb.
Yeah, your point is clear. So let's open it up and see if anybody wants to comment on what Shweta is putting forth. Or I'm literally asking, but Shweta, you want others to comment on it, right?
Sure, I'd love to hear, because I think we can talk about.
So hold on. We got
else's
your point. So let's hold on there. If anybody is going to say something about it, fine. Otherwise, I'd like to comment a little bit and move on. Is anybody saying anything about what? Yes, Francis, go ahead.
My only comment was back to Mona was speaking. I speak to what Shweta was saying, but the wave, the small white cap on the ocean. I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends would, their spiritual work would always be putting themselves down to be this small little speck of sand. But what you're saying, what you're teaching, what Ramana and the real truth of what Christ spoke of and Buddha is that in Nisargadatta, when we see that we're no thing, that's the wisdom. And then we realize we are everything. That is love. So our life goes back and forth, but I think it's very important to pivot from the no thing, which is through meditation, to go to Shweta, what she just said. There's nothing to take the place of meditation. Nothing is better than consciousness being in consciousness. Good. And constant inquiry.
Thank you. Thank you, Francis. Thank you for sharing that. Shweta, I don't know if there are any other comments. There are two ways of looking at what you were sharing. One is to go the ultimate way, the Vichar Marga that Bhagavan always pointed towards, and he never ever gave us a shortcut. He always said, you are that you are, or think from where is the thought arising. Go to the source of the thought. Who is it to whom this thought is arising? Who is it that is not in touch with the self? Who is it that thinks that person is not realized? Why are you not realized? That's what he would have said. And I'm not, Francis said, Bandhu, I'm not teaching, Ramana is teaching. We are just regurgitating his words in our own way. And the way Bandhu is sharing is that for us to remove the camouflage, to remove the dust around us, we got to go to, as you said very succinctly, Shweta, the small lies that I tell myself every day. That's something that we should have to become cognizant of, conscious of in that limited way. While I have forgotten that I am the cosmic reality, I am that I am, because I lead my life, it's a very good thing to know the nature, the limited nature of my personality. And that personality, if I focus on without condemning myself, without exposing myself or making a big deal about it, but be cognizant of it, makes me go closer to the ultimate awareness of that existence, that bliss, that consciousness that pervades me. And that's the only way of looking at it. And keep doing it, the practice of the inquiry, vichar marg is the toughest, is the topmost way of getting to the stage of self-realization. And that's the only way to keep doing at it, keep doing it, and we can get to that clarity. And we are already getting to that clarity. We don't know yet. Sandra, go ahead. I see you raising your hand. Thank you.
Hello, Shweta. I and everybody else, thank you for being here together. What I do practically is not only, as Bandhuji says, look at my nature, look at when jealousies crop up, look at when comparisons crop up, look at when things that feeling like I'm a victim crop up. I know that they're cropping up because we're aware at this point, because we've done this work. So I see it and I watch it and I just try to soften into it, breathing sometimes, softening in, just really giving myself a break, letting go and thinking, good, I see it. I see it, even though it's really painful. I see it, I recognize it, and it's okay. It's just okay. I'm human. And with so much compassion, I go on to the next moment. You know, I try to let it go. Sometimes it takes hours or days to let it go because it's just, you know, it comes into my dreams. You know, these challenges, they bother us. And so just, I guess, being in nature, looking around us, just having gratitude for I'm here to do this work, and what a blessing that is. So.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for sharing that. That's very helpful. That's very nice.
Bandhuji, may I add a little bit, please?
Yeah, sure, Mona,
yes,
go ahead.
For me, what works is constant questioning. How is this serving me? How is this thought serving me? How is this existence? I mean, not existence. How is this thought particular? It's the thoughts that cause us trouble. So the different thoughts, for me, constantly questioning my thoughts is what works for me.
Excellent.
What helps me. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, that's very good. And Ed has raised his hand. Ed, just hold your thought right there. Yes, that's very nice. And that's the way Bhagwan wanted us to, when we say, who am I? Obviously, it's a bundle of things that I am. And all these thoughts that keep coming up, to constantly just keep inquiring into why is this thought rising? Why is this jealousy coming back again? Why is this hurt coming back after 15 years? Why do I react to such and such thing? As I've said many, many times, when I react less and accept more, I have got that little clarity, little step forward. Ed, welcome to the group. Please go ahead, share. Yeah, where is Ed?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, if you can also start your camera, that'll be nice. Thank you, Ed. Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone being here. And one thing I like to keep in mind is Ramana said, if you're to meditate for an hour or two a day, it would set up a current that you can bring through the rest of your day. And for me, I hear that as constant meditation. The first question in non-yarn, who am I, is very important because it tells us the problem. It tells us we are not the mind, we are not the body. So we have to constantly question who is it that's having these thoughts? Who is it that, and not the mind. And Shwarta said something about little white lies. There's a big white lie we tell ourselves every day, and that is I. I is a huge lie because it's individuality that we set the basis on the rest of our perceptions.
Sure.
That's false. So the I is the lie.
Right.
Question, who am I? Thank you.
Thank
for
you,
letting
Ed.
me share.
Thank you. Very nice. That's perfectly, you hit the nail on the head. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is the I. So moving along here, unless there's any other comment here, Corey has a comment. Go ahead, Peter from Kyoto.
I'm not sure how my voice will work, but I'll try it. It's a little bit similar to what Ed was saying. I feel that as long as there is the consideration of myself being a separate entity, that everything is almost impossible from there. It's almost better if I can't see. If I can't look around me and see objects, and to see the Sachin Ananda, to see the energy, the creative energy which flows equally through everything, myself and everything, it seems to be impossible as long as I see, because one existent form seems to exist more strongly than another. One is more beautiful than another. Everything becomes unequal as soon as I see it. So the problem seems to begin immediately with myself as an entity and other things as being existent in more stronger ways than other things.
Thank you for sharing that, Peter, and for your honesty that the dichotomy always exists the moment I start anything. And the crux of the query, crux of the vichara is to not let yourself be limited into that all the time, and to be able to think beyond that. I am not this limited configuration of these dichotomies around me. I'm not the comparative definitions of things all the time. I can be beyond that. I am actually beyond that. If I drop these and I do not think about these comparative things, these limitations that I keep thinking about, when will I get beyond thinking about it? Because no matter whether I think with these comparisons or limitations, my life still goes on without my volition. I cannot change anything. That alone is consciousness. That alone is reality, which pervades me, which is right here with me. And yet I don't embrace it. My life is not under my control. So why don't I just drop all these turbulations, permutation combinations, dichotomies, colors, jealousies, lies, hatreds, drop them. Just keep questioning as to whom is this thought? Who is this limited self? I cannot be the limited self. I am part of that cosmic energy. I can meet with it. I can merge with it.
Yes, but as I'm always, a little bit like Sandra was saying before, as I'm always interchanging every time I look at something on internet or whatever, there's always a comparison, and therefore I'm jealous of this or that. I compare myself to something all the time.
And so to be detached from those things. Yes, I do see it, but I am trying to be detached from it. And I go away from those habits of my mind, the vasanas of my mind, that makes my nature, that makes my character. As Ed very succinctly said, it creates a current. Bhagwan has used that word current in many ways, in even his own journey from his home in Madurai, his uncle's house in Madurai, to Tiruvannamalai. When he was asked, why did you come here? He says, I don't know, a current, as if a current was carrying me. The same current is what can be created by us if we continue to think positively about not being this limited self. Hope that added something to what we are talking.
Arunachala.
Arunachala.